Now this is going to be an interesting divulgence from the rest of my Dead by Daylight videos. The last two characters I made episodes on were characters I would consider myself generally good at. I can play both of them at a level I would call pretty dang good, actually. But today we look at a killer that I am not especially good at. Today we look at the Hillbilly. The Hillbilly is the third archetypical food group of killer type. We have inspected the defensive, we have inspected the stealthy, now we inspect the aggressive. As Billy, you are going to be loud and fast. You can be stealthy if your build allows for it, but most of the time you are going to be in the open, screaming like a maniac. Why is this? Well, whenever you use your ability, it makes an insane amount of noise. Sure, it's non-directional from afar, but it's audible within 60 goddamn meters away. That said, when you become fully charged, you become a speeding truck. You go so fast it's a little bit hard to keep track of. But when you do start keeping track of it, you feel like you're playing Gran Turismo. If you bump into a surface at all, you take some time just to stand there, so you gotta be both fast and accurate. Hell, even if you cancel the sprint, it leaves you stunned for a little while, pretty much the same amount if I recall. So the best way to end a sprint is to do it either really close to someone, or even better, crash into them. If you hit a survivor with the chainsaw dash, they go down on the spot. Even if they were healthy, they are in the dying state now. I don't make the rules. Given you are built for traversing the map loudly and quickly, this basically leads to survivors having to play against a speeding freight train. You are pretty easy to get away from when you're in sprint mode. Your turning radius is very constricted. You can still make huge curves, but little adjustments are a long-gone fantasy. People can literally just get behind something or juke out of the way and be fine. But if they don't, whew! Hillbilly has the capacity to peel off of a chase, run halfway across the map, and just get someone. What balances this? Well, a few things. His power is damaging, but very easy to dodge, like I mentioned. And when he isn't using the saw, he's kinda just an M1 killer smack you around guy without an easy way to close the gap. Even if you charge in a chase and stop right near someone, they are bound to get some distance by the time you're done with that 3 seconds. Also, there's an overheat mechanic, but it really won't fuck with you. Trust me, it rarely ever fills up to max. You have a lot to put up with when you're playing Hillbilly, but it's all very worth it. It takes a while to charge, but you can use your saw to hit people right next to you. It's very risky and people can deal with you pretty easily if you get greedy, but if you stick to a target like glue and keep your eyes on them without them taking a vault, you can point-blank chainsaw dash them into oblivion. Now, this all sounds great, but there's even more. At the start of your sprint, you have way more control, leading to you pulling off stuff like this around sharp corners. Oh. Billy, in practice, is a killer that is insanely powerful when right up close to someone or extremely far away from someone, but falters when someone is anywhere in between. There are probably some god Hillbilly gamers out there who can make any range work, but I am not that. I am what you would call a silly Billy. I have ways to keystone cop myself into some crazy situations, but sometimes I do well enough to get someone I really need. I may not be great at Hillbilly, but I would say the moments I have a light bulb go off in my brain are oh so satisfying. Also, you can delete breakable walls and pallets if you run into them. It's good, but I don't really have much else to add. It can make a good cushion for the end of a sprint, because it takes a little less time to recover from it. Hillbilly's perks are all pretty good. Let's dive right in.
Oh! I'm okay.
Enduring, I think a lot of people assume you choose if you can't bait pallet drops properly. But in reality, Enduring is a perk for when you just don't want to deal with it. Most survivors like to do some weird stuff when they bonk you over the head, like sliding past you on the pallet, doing a blind with a flashlight, or just using the loop while you are already stuck. Enduring makes all of these options just a tiny bit less safe. You get hit, almost instantly come to your senses, and can do whatever you want. Most of the time this means breaking the pallet instantly, but the speed at which you snap out of it means you can catch some people pretty damn off guard. I tend to enjoy baiting pallets more than letting this happen, but hey, none of us are perfect, and I assure you, you've had moments where you would have been saved by this perk if you had it.
Oh, you finally fixed the chair.
You know it. Whoa!
Tinkerer is a heart attack, but not for survivors. It's a heart attack for you, the killer. It gives a little ping to tell you when a generator is almost done, which gives you a ton of information already, and it gives you an added bonus of becoming undetectable for a little while as a great little cherry on top. Thing is, I hate being aware that a generator is almost done, and I especially hate it when there is more screaming at me than I can reasonably deal with. It just makes me anxious. Mechanically, if you can get past the scary notifications, this is a great perk. You don't have to deal with a generator when it is about to be done. You can let it go off and use that undetectable status to make whoever you were chasing have a worse time. And if you do decide to check in on a generator, they will become smart to you way later than if you came in with your terror radius going off. Lightborn is a contender for my favorite perk in the entire game. Here, sit down. Let me tell you a story. I played this game a long time ago. I would like to say around the time Myers came out or Doctor, I can't really remember. And I had a lot of fun playing it on and off. Blatantly, Dead by Daylight was a worse game back in the day. It was just less balanced and had way more bullshit on both sides. I took breaks, but I came back to this game now and again just because of how fun it was. It spoke to me, I don't know why. But I remember this very vividly. Around the time The Pig was out, I was on Coldwind Farms, the old version, at night with the big house. I encountered my first genuine bully squad. 4 flashlights, 4 people deciding I should not be able to play the game today. 4 people making sure picking up survivors was a pipe dream. 4 people making my screen turn into a goddamn flashbang whenever I tried to do anything. So after that match, I quit. Just like that. I didn't play this game in a regular manner until the night released, and by then a lot of the shit in this game that made it hellish to play became a lot less intense. What is the point of flashlights? No, I'm not trying to say, ooh, remove them or any of that shit, but like, genuinely, what is the tool given to survivors, the flashlight, supposed to do? It is supposed to make things just a little bit more annoying. That's the entire point. Sure, you can save people using it, and that is one of the uses I would say is genuinely effective and interesting and cool, but blinding people at pallets, shining from afar, doing almost anything with a flashlight aside from saving a caught survivor, all that stuff does is slightly disorient the killer for a little while. If you can listen closely, you've beaten out almost every single survivor that tries to blind you and run. So, really, all the flashlight does is annoy me. They make my eyes hurt, they make my brain hurt, and they make my heart hurt. I just don't like them. Lightborn makes all flashlights not work on you. Period. No light-based funny business can turn your screen into a soup of bright bullshit. In fact, if they even try, they become highlighted through walls for a sizable amount of time. This is my sanity-keeping perk. I don't bring it every game. If nobody brings a flashlight, there's no point and it does nothing. But when I see someone in pre-game lobby with a flashlight, I mouse over Lightborn, and when I see 2, I click it. This makes so many hell games into games I actually want to play. I get major satisfaction from stuffing what would be someone's entire kit by using this thing. I do not even feel bad. I just love telling people in the most overt way that I won't be fucked with today. Will this stop people from waiting till the very last moment to switch to all flashlights? It really won't, but these kinds of crews tend to be one-track minded and you can deal with them when they overextend. Lightborn just makes a lot of situations less fucked up entirely by turning off what I would call my least favorite major mechanic in any video game: blinding the player with a bullshit bright light. I'm almost done talking about Lightborn, I swear, but I have had a game where I forgot to take this off and I was like, Ah shit, well, I guess I have a useless perk slot with me the whole game. Then this happened. Behavior, please make Lightborn base kit.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Hillbilly's add-ons are far from useless, but there's kind of a prevailing opinion that a lot of them are bad. I get it. They are very situational and none of them entirely transform the way you play Hillbilly. But hey, maybe we can all learn something. The steel-toed boots and the kickback chain are built to make knocking into objects way less of a problem. In fact, because the options of stopping in a sprint, hitting a survivor, and hitting an object cause the same amount of cooldown, that means if you can't hit a survivor or a breakable object, you want to hit a wall instead of canceling a burst. Sure, you will feel like a doofus doing this, but legitimately, the turnaround time you get bumping into stuff can be really valuable. You become kind of a pseudo-blight. It's really silly. Junkyard air filter and punctured muffler don't technically do the same thing but better at all, but they have the same goal, so I kind of want to talk about both right now. Filter makes your threshold for overheating way larger, and muffler makes you cool down way faster. So effectively, both of these add-ons are for making your overheat mechanic way less of an issue. Which it already is barely an issue. Okay, that's a little bit unfair. If you like tearing across the map really often and don't want to keep track of your heat gauge, this is kinda nice. It just isn't a huge deal, I don't think. Heavy Clutch is an add-on that makes your chainsaw hitbox more narrow. At least when it comes to objects. I don't know if it works this way with people. It effectively means you have to be a little bit more dead-on with your sprints if that's the case, but you can also weave in and out of obstacles with way more margin of error. I feel like this is very much a preference thing. Like, I'm sure there are some hillbillies that swear by the heavy clutch. I'm just afraid by the prospect of having to be even more pinpoint accurate with the hillbilly's big saw. That said, this add-on can make me feel like a genius from time to time, so your mileage may vary, in like a positive way, not a negative way.
That's a great saw. I'm a home improvement guy, and I know my saws, and I gotta tell you, if you're cutting off legs, that is the way to go.
That's the one?
That is definitely the one.
Speed Limiter is an add-on that makes your chainsaw do singular damage instead of full, so it just does a health state. Wow, that gets rid of like all of the upside the saw has aside from speed. That's really bad. It pays you for using it at least, which is nice.
Okay, Boots, do your stuff!
The turn speed add-ons are very smooth. One of them has a little upside with no downside, and the other has a larger upside with a big fat downside. Bumping into a wall will be even more sluggish than before if you used the spike shoes. Mostly, I just enjoy being able to take harsher angles when I'm deep in a charge. It reminds me of playing Demo Night in Team Fortress 2, honestly. I hear conflicting reports concerning the motor oil. On the wiki it says it makes the radius of the chainsaw noises smaller, which is great. But a lot of people say that it only makes the actual volume of the chainsaw quieter without lowering the radius at all, which is less great. I have no idea which of these reports to believe, so I'm gonna split the timeline right now. Cover your ears. Alright, so the oil makes your radius of noise way smaller. This means you can charge around the map while giving people less margin of error when you get close. Basically lets you sneak up way easier, which is nice. Whoa! So the oil makes the noise your chainsaw makes slightly quieter, which is pretty good, but not amazing. Basically, it means that survivors might possibly think you're further away than you are, but that's a hard thing to rely on, especially because getting close already gives them directional audio. Mostly what I use it for is when I'm tired of the chainsaw noise and I want it to just be quieter in my ears. It's a nice quality of life thing to slap on whenever you don't feel like you should have an exploded brain. Everyone okay? Okay, great. On to something hopefully more simple.
Chosen one! I'm coming!
Ah, crumbs. Okay, so the engravings are a set of high-risk, high-reward add-ons that make you charge up way slower, but in return, you go faster when you actually charge. This is kind of amazing, but also extremely hellish to use if you're a baby Billy like I am. You can really feel that extra charge time, so using it as a chase tool means you have to make some adjustments. For one, this means you can't easily get people right up close, but it does mean that people far, far away and people in your mid-range become a little bit easier to deal with. From what I understand, you get more use out of this thing the more long-range distance your calls are. I just rely on up-close hits way too often to use this effectively. I am just not enough of a gamer to make this work. Yet. Not enough of a gamer yet.
She thinks my tractor's sexy.
Big Buckle and Pig Gloves do two extremely different things, but I'm lumping them together here because the way you activate them both is really odd. So the basic idea is when you overheat, you gain a buff. A smaller terror radius, and a faster interaction speed with a side of stun reduction respectively. These are not at all insignificant buffs. You know how I am about my interaction speed, and you know that I love being slightly less detectable. The problem is, overheating is actually super difficult. If you stop trying to overheat for even a second, you will basically never reach maximum. In several games, I tried to manufacture situations where I charge across huge swaths of land to gain heat, and in some of the bigger maps I was able to do it once or twice. The problem was, once I had this on my mind. Oh shit, nice, I did it! Okay, I gotta find a pallet, I gotta find a generator, I gotta find some value out of these things, please, 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 anything nearby? Oh hey, there's a survivor, maybe I can bonk them with my lower radius or whatever. That worked. I'm not overheating anymore. So was that buckle value? I can't tell. I fully believe these effects can be used in some really fun ways. I just literally never had a moment where they really worked for me. I don't know. They might be the best add-ons in the game, and I just don't know because I don't overheat as much.
Pills here!
Mother's Helpers is a fun reversal add-on. If you're using these and you get stunned by a pellet at any point, your chainsaw charges way quicker. This is very much built for builds that already use enduring. It fits too well not to be the case. I love being bonked and becoming a problem. Even after spending some time to break a pellet, you have so much left to be a charge speed demon.
At some point, something has had it away with a leaf.
No!
Leafy Mush is for hillbillies that enjoy pinballing from player to player. Basically, when you hit someone with your sprint, you gain undetectable. Yummy. That means survivors won't know where you are sometimes. If you carry a survivor right after, people will definitely understand where you are. But as far as hitting people and going right for another, this is pretty much unmatched in its utility, as far as Hillbilly is concerned.
My eyes, the goggles do nothing.
Black Grease is, very antithetical to my sanity. This is not me saying it's a bad add-on, it just... You gain chainsaw charge speed when you become blinded. No, it's not like Lightborn where if they even try this happens. This is for when someone fully blinds you. The duration means you don't have to rush right away as you become blind. You can just wait out the eyeball hurting screen and start to run around with a bit more of a spring in your step. I just already hate being blinded, so between getting a buff when blinded and not being blinded ever, I'm gonna pick the latter. I'm sorry.
Carburetors, man. That's what life is all about.
Tuned carburetor must be pretty damn heavy, because it makes your movement speed really slow. Like your actual movement speed, not like charge speed. You aren't like the nurse level slow, but you're still slow. To reconcile with this though, you charge really quickly. Meaning, on open maps, you can clean house pretty easily. It is worth mentioning that, while using this, Billy's biggest weakness is, the meta these days. If people don't use this though, well, you have my personal favorite way to use Hillbilly. As a constantly charging hooligan who can't keep their voice down.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh yeah!
Low Pro Chains is one of my favorite weird reversals in this game. Usually, if you crash into a pallet or a wall, you completely stop moving. The obstruction is gone, but you're stopped nonetheless. This add-on makes you go right through breakables, maintaining your sprint and doing a health state to anyone in your path. When doing this, you can't insta-down people like before, so you have to be okay with them being still standing if they're healthy, But hey, legitimately, that is a survivor you damaged that you probably would not have been able to damage otherwise. Using this with pallets is very funny, because if people don't know you have this, then they tend to stick around. But my favorite way to use this is with walls, because you're a terrifying lunatic.
Who fall out? Really big Woodstock!
Hey, Frank, here's another idea.
Where'd you come from?
I've been walking next to you the entire time.
So the next two add-ons have one unified goal. Make Hillbilly shut the fuck up for once in his life. The Apex Legends muffler makes your chainsaw sound flat out silent to survivors who are outside your terror radius. Add-ons and perks that mess with your terror radius also affect this. But you know what's better than having a small terror radius? Having absolutely no terror radius. Yeah, undetectable works with this thing. That means you have zero noise coming up on people. It's so funny.
It's fun.
Brick is absolutely made to be paired with the Apex muffler, but you can use either add-on on their own and they work pretty dang well. The chainsaw is not an amazing way for people to know where you are. It is more reliable than the Wraith whoosh, but it gives very little info until you are up close. And a lot of people don't run until they hear your terror radius. This funny object makes you undetectable when you sprint for more than 2 seconds, meaning that if you maintain a sprint, you have no terror radius at all. This can be pretty disorienting, and is kind of on demand at any time you want, provided you aren't overheating, which you most likely are not. Whew. Alright, I think that's everything. Thank you for watching. As hard as it is for me to play Billy, I had a lot of fun making this, and I had a lot of fun learning how he works. And if I may be candid for a moment, this episode had a lot of technical difficulties. The biggest of which being my solid state drive dying and all of my assets getting deleted. I had to remake my entire DorkFox thingamajig. So if you're wondering why I look a little different this episode, blame technology. Blame it as hard as you can. But sincerely, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you, hopefully, next time sooner. I love y'all. Bye.